Tiger fans, right now, they haven't had a whole lot to cheer about as the Sydney Kings have played the first quarter to pretty much perfection.
70% from the field. And if you told me before the game that Julian Kazoo was going to have 2 points a quarter time, you'd have to think the Sydney Kings are going to be well down. But what a quarter from Aaron Bruce.
Daniel Dillon for three, comes up short. Aaron Bruce pulls down the board. Bowes on another nice Aaron. Blinder's got 12 points to go. 3 assists.
The defense from the Melbourne Tigers is non-existent at the moment in the half court and in transition.
We've seen that happen before with the Tigers. Rush on a fall-away jump shot. That's good over the top of the smaller Ben Magin.
Well, his game needs to look pretty because that Mo is ugly. Lucky it's for a good cause. Okay.
And he looks just like Freddie Mercury with that mustache.
Oh, yes, he does.
Magin. They find Bowes down on the bottom, coming from the baseline. Sydney Kings just whipping it around, dictating the terms of not just the tempo of anything they want, whether it's on transition or in the half court.
Yeah, they've made some good decisions. They've attacked the basket with the pass and the dribble, which has given them this league. That's a big call for Kazoo to come back into the game now with 2 fouls. Just under 9 minutes to go, and the team's on a roll. Might want to be able to give him a little bit more time on the bench. See how the team goes without him.
Bowes knocks down both free throws. We got ourselves a 10-point game.
They will take a lot of confidence, the Sydney Kings, from this start. Backs to the walls, confidence that they play well on the road.
Melbourne's got to get the ball to Cam Trigard. Ubaka going to turn the corner. Finds Liam Rush. Catch and shoot outside the three-point lines. A brick. Kazoo with the rebound. Cooper, the baseline, is fouled by Liam Rush.
Again in transition, whipping the ball up the court, head down, trying to get into the paint. I like the mentality that the Sydney Kings are playing with.
Not a whole lot of contact, but Cooper going out of bounds. Gets the call. Shooting percentage. Kings just shooting like crazy. And another missed layup. Boy, they'd be shooting about 90 if they made their layups. Daniel Dillon on a nice pass from Ayinde Ubaka.
That is a good pass from Chewy on the break. It's nice when you got someone like Daniel Dillon. As we see another post catch from the Sydney Kings.
And an offensive rebound from Julian Kazoo. Dillon turned on the Jets. To Rush. He'll turn that one down and get it to Trigard. Cam Trigard with some nifty footwork.
Julian Kazoo isn't a great defender at the best of times, as we see the Sydney Kings penetrate again. But when you're trying to play on 2 fouls with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, it's a tough matchup for him against Trigard. They need to go at him more often.
Ubaka with a shot early. And confidence. Kind of a tough 3 early in the offense.
When he gets his swagger going, he's the sort of player that he can have 12 to 15 points in the quarter, Steve, can't he?
Oh, and fun to watch, too. He's got more dips and hesitations in his game than anybody in the league. Daniel Dillon with a rebound in traffic. He's fouled by Luke Cooper.
That's a good foul by Luke Cooper, too. Really going after the ball, but stopping the momentum for the Melbourne Tigers, who look dangerous when they do get a stop and get on the break. And that's not too often that they get stopped, Steve, because they're shooting 61%, the Sydney Kings.
And that's great foul. It is so underrated to be able to stop the momentum when you're playing on the road with a good foul like that. You could just feel the Melbourne Tigers starting to creep up and change the momentum of the game. And they stop and get the crowd out of it. Throws it right to Aaron Bruce. He loses the handle. Jerry Grant on another sweet dish from Aaron Bruce, who is feeling it.
That is a great little play, anticipating it on the steal, as you see here. Lost the handle, finally put a fork in it, threw it behind his back, and Grant the athleticism. Great play, Sydney Kings.
Boy, he had to throw those long arms out there to catch that thing, too.
Well, because how would you anticipate that ball was coming? Aaron Bruce is that type of player, though. Highly skilled guy that was touted as, you know, an Australian point guard. Probably hasn't reached that level, but, you know, he's a very, very good combo guard that I think if he's in the right system can play some very good basketball for the next number of years.
Well, he looked very comfortable tonight. Not just shooting the basketball. Anybody can be hot on any given night, but he just looks like he's really in the flow of this game and enjoying himself.
Plus, I like judging people when their backs to the walls. Anyone can play well when the game's flowing and you're winning games and everything else. The pressure's on here for the Sydney Kings. So you wanted to see who's going to come out with the mentality to be able to stop the run and the leadership, and Aaron Bruce has been the one so far.
That was a blinder for Sydney, and Daniel Dillon getting it done for the Melbourne Tigers. Just knifed through the Sydney Kings defense on that last drive. 5-point game. Kazoo to Bruce to Bose. Ratch. Kings have got to get it up. Ratch with a three, hits the rim. Good defensive stance for the Melbourne Tigers. Ubaka feeling it good. Ayinde Ubaka's got it on a string. Melbourne Tigers making a 2-point game. Timeout on the floor to the Sydney Kings. Melbourne Tigers getting the crowd involved. We'll be back.
Every legend has an origin. Every hero has a history. Embark on an adventure 25 years in the making and shape the destiny of a world where the only hope for the future lies in the secrets of the past. This is where it all begins. Prepare to play your part. The Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword, only for Wii.
It's our D-Trans, we got to find them. All right, our D-Trans, we have to find them. Yeah. Right, so that's his set up. Find him early. All right, find Ubaka early. Limit, we got to try and limit his touches. All right, Right, here we go. Peace.
Sydney Kings trying to weather the storm of the Melbourne Tigers, mostly Ayinde Ubaka. He has just been sensational. He is 3 for 4 outside the three-point line. That's where all of his 9 points have come from, Shane, but it's not just his shooting. It's his dribble penetration, getting it to teammates for layups. Caught Daniel Dillon a couple of times running the lanes and gotten him a chippy underneath the hoop. Getting his teammates involved. He is looking good tonight.
Yeah, it's been a very poised performance from Ubaka. He hasn't come out just trying to blow the opposition away straight away. He's played himself into it. Hasn't been too aggressive, made good decisions. On the other end, the Sydney Kings, I think they've got to be careful with Kazoo in the game right now because the Melbourne Tigers are attacking him. Daniel Dillon went at him. Kazoo had to step out of the way, being on 2 fouls at the moment. He knows he can't get his 3rd foul.
Ratch. They're looking for Grant. Ratch for 3. That's off the mark. Bose keeps it alive, but he gets a bad bounce off the backboard. Or off the shot clock. Because the backboard is live. The shot clock is a violation. Greer. Walker trying to get it to Ubaka. Good no call.
Great no call.
Dillon going left. That's off the mark. In traffic. Jerry Grant gets the loose ball. Isn't that such a good no call?
Yeah, we need to stamp that out of our game.
Bruce, tough one, floating left. Dillon to Greer. Ratch hits the deck, so the Tigers have an advantage.
That shot from Aaron Bruce at the other end. I think that he was off balance and maybe not a great one, but with the way he's been playing and them struggling to be able to get some points on the board, he really needed to be able to try and find a way to be able to help his team score. He's 4 from 6 from the field.
Yeah, when you're that hot, you got to test the waters.
And this is where, again, I think they need another point guard into the game so you can run him off some picks, because he's their main scorer at the moment. Now he has to handle the ball. I think you take away a little bit of his aggressiveness.
Bowes in. Magic gets it to Kazoo. Single coverage. They send the double team, and Lucas Walker fouls Julian Kazoo. So on this end of the floor, Kazoo on the floor pays off for Sydney.
And Lucas Walker played good D right to the end. He'd moved his feet, and he just couldn't resist the temptation to get a hand in there and slap for the ball. See, I would think with a small lineup like this, Walker's going to be mobile enough and quick enough to be able to get around and front Kazoo, load up the split line from the back, because they've got athletes that can really come from behind.
16-9 is the advantage of the score in the second quarter for the Melbourne Tigers. Sydney jumped out to a big 29-point quarter in the first. Second quarters belong to the Tigers. But Sydney still with a 1-point lead. Dillon. Ubaka wants it on a post-up. He lines it up, comes up short.
Never fouls a three-point shooter, especially one that shoots the ball as well as Ubaka does from the free throw line.
Very good foul shooter. 83% foul shooter in his NBL career. That's solid.
That's a good shooter. And when you get 3 freebies, when you've already made 3 threes, you would have to think that they're going to be automatic.
That's the tough one, the first one.
Really, I set him up just to moz him, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to...
He looked like he kind of didn't follow through on the first one either. That one looked long.
It's nice when you're long, short, they're still going in.
Yeah.
Off the rim here, off the rim.
Yeah, because there are days when they feel good and they come up short, and you give it a little bit more, and it just adjusting all night. Comes up short on the third. He wouldn't be happy with that, but that gives the Tigers the lead. Magic for 3. Grant. Strong goes up with 2 hands. Jeray Grant getting it done in the paint for Sydney.
He's shown some enthusiasm tonight too, Grant. Really trying to get himself on the offensive boards. That's what you want, being active and then attack that basket, go for that 3-point play. But terrible transition from the Melbourne Tigers to let Magin get an open 3-point shot in transition off one pass.
And we wondered how Sydney were going to come out. Emer Billiard catching a whole lot of heat in the press. And he's stuck by his team. He's been the one that's been taking the heat. His team is playing like they're behind him.
They have. They've played with that mentality, and tough position to be in for the players, the coach, everybody. And you just like the fact that they've come out with a bit of fight tonight.
Long way to go. Sydney up by 1.
Well, like we said, Steve, in the opener, they were up by 13 points in the last quarter and lost by 6 in the first game they played here.
They wouldn't be feeling overconfident with any kind of lead against the Tigers. And this is a man that was doing the damage, him and Patty Mills in game 1. Traga, he's not going to give any easier shots than that. His little medium range baseline shot is good, giving the Tigers a 1-point lead.
He will find a way to score in a whole lot of different ways, Cameron Traga.
Martin's been good with his dribble penetration. He wants to get it to Grant. And Grant with a very aggressive post-up on the smaller Ron Dorsey.
I like the fact they've tried to isolate him a little bit in the post. He is a tough matchup, and especially seeing things are starting to roll for him a little bit. They've been able to get him on the block, as you said, Steve. Dorsey's a couple of inches smaller, that's for sure. But he's certainly been efficient, Grant, with 10 points.
That's a great sign for Sydney. It takes a lot of pressure off Julian Kazoo. And that just split second of somebody hesitating because of the way that he is playing. Grant is playing down on the block. Hit a couple of turnaround jumpers. And he's been solid for his 11th. Tied up at 41 now. Grant's only able to get 1 out of 2, so now we're on an even number. Dorsey flips it back to Traga. Sydney getting that a little extra hustle. Dorsey catch and shoot outside the 3-point line. Rattles it home.
And he'll be feeling good about himself too. Dorsey, 11 points, 4 from 6 from the field, and even better than that, 3 from 4 from the 3-point line.
Crowd getting into it. Bose throws it right to Ubaka. Ubaka to Dorsey. Lays it up and in over Luke Martin. Luke Martin prevents the jam, but couldn't prevent the 2.
That was a bad decision by Bose. Just throw it straight to the opposition. Wasn't being proactive with his turnover at all.
Martin down to Kazoo. Bose, extra pass to Magin from the corner. Grant with an offensive rebound. Bose catch and shoot for 3. Rattles out.
Oh.
Julian Kazoo and Cam Traga battling for that rebound. Goes off of Julian Kazoo. Timeout on the floor. The Melbourne Tigers on a mini run. Got a 5-point lead over the Sydney Kings. 1 minute, 52 seconds to go till halftime.
Let's go.
And Sydney, although they're trailing, have come out with a different attitude, but the Melbourne Tigers have looked good in the absence of Patty Mills. Some guys have stepped up.
You're right, Steve. The Kings have come out strong. Now the pressure's on. It's going to be interesting to see whether they can maintain that as things are starting to crumble a little bit for them. It's going to take good leadership and strong personalities to be able to resist this in the last couple of minutes before the half.
We've had plenty of contributors in this game. We've already got 3 Melbourne Tigers in double figures, and the Sydney Kings have Jeray Grant and Aaron Bruce in double figures, and Ben Magin on 7. So the ball is getting whipped around. It's a high-quality game. We have seen a lot of games that have not matched the execution and the big-time plays that we've seen in the first half here.
And particularly the amount of points that both teams have been able to put on the board. Part of that has been due to the lack of defense at stages. I'd love to see the Melbourne Tigers isolate Liam Rush, who's got Julian Kazoo on him. Just an athlete on the wing. An opportunity to be able to try and get Kazoo with a 3rd foul, but it looks like the Sydney Kings have gone into a zone, which is a good ploy by Moose Rabin to be able to protect his big fella inside.
Let's see how the Tigers attack it. Ubaka gets it to Rush. Skip pass, extra pass to Daniel Dillon. His 3-pointer's off the mark. Here comes Sydney. And Jeray Grant has it go off of his fingertips. Luke Martin trying to push it, get a cheap one.
See, you don't mind that sort of turnover. It was a proactive turnover that they were trying to get a layup from after getting a stop.
Couldn't agree with you more when your team is looking to attack like that. Good hands by Grant. Comes up with the play on defense and gets it back for Sydney. Magin. Grant wants it on the mismatch. Martin comes up against the double team. He stepped out of bounds first.
Better defense from the Melbourne Tigers, being able to stop that penetration. He ran into a wall because they were able to help from the split line and everybody was active.
Still the lead is 5. Neither team's been able to put one in the hoop. Ubaka in rhythm. Comes up short. Grant can't control it.
I love the offense that time from the Melbourne Tigers. They got some movement against the zone rather than all just standing in one position.
2 hits here, no more, we're on out. It looked like came off your last one. No more! Okay, I've got to call it what it's saying.
You're trying to listen in. The intensity's picking up. Referees having to communicate a little bit more. 35 seconds to go, and Kings force a turnover. Or the Melbourne Tigers gave up a turnover.
Good defense by the Kings again, and this switch up of the defense is going into a zone has really worked for the Kings so far.
Martin turns the corner, gets it to Dan. He goes hard to the basket. Kazoo with the tip in. That'll be his third. That's huge.
12 seconds to go in the half, and he picks up his third. Oh, my.
That's a huge blow. Went the entire second quarter without picking up his third, right into the back of Cam Tregon. He knew the importance of that screen out. It's a huge play with 12 seconds to go in the second. Martin Eady will check in for Julian Kazoo. Let's listen in. Plenty of time for the Melbourne Tigers to go down and get a good shot. Anything with more than 3 seconds is plenty of time to execute a good play. Let's see.
Liam, you're on this side, okay? Benny, right there. Hey, got 12 seconds. So if they press up, get straight into it. But you want to go at the 6, right? The 6. So go off hard at the 6. Get him on the flare. You got the corner. Right, you got that ball. Dribble penetration. Get Liam on the shot with about 3 seconds. Enough time for an offense. 1, 2, 3.
Benny Lewis coming off the bench, hasn't played anything tonight. Let me tell you, I was sick of doing that when I was in America. You come on for a last shot play or something. Oh, yeah, pull a rabbit out of your sleeve right now. Make it 3 for us. All cold.
That's a double dribble. Good call. Ibaka just had a mental error there. Luke Martin with the pressure forced the turnover. At the end of the day, there wasn't a whole lot of pressure, but if he wasn't there, he wouldn't have made that turnover. Sydney Kings have plenty of time to get the last shot. Imagine. Spins. Tough fall away, but it's good. And that'll be it. Sydney Kings catch a break with a turnover from the Melbourne Tigers, and then they get the lead down.